South Africa faces a stark reality. The nation is grappling with a growing chasm between the rich and the poor. Economic growth has stagnated and inequality has soared. South Africa holds one of the highest Gini coefficients globally, a measure of income inequality. This means that the distribution of income is highly unequal, with a significant portion of the wealth concentrated in the hands of a few. Meanwhile, a large segment of the population struggles to make ends meet. The legacy of apartheid continues to cast a long shadow over South Africa. Decades of economic disenfranchisement and social injustice have created deep-rooted inequalities that persist today. The gap between rich and poor has continued to widen, fueling social tensions and undermining the promise of a truly democratic and inclusive South Africa. At the heart of South Africa's economic woes lies a toxic combination of slow economic growth and capital flight. The economy has struggled to create enough jobs to absorb the growing workforce. This lackluster economic performance exacerbates inequality and makes it even harder for the poor to climb out of poverty. Adding to the problem is the flight of capital from the country. Instead of investing in the local economy, wealthy individuals and corporations are increasingly moving their money overseas. This capital flight deprives the country of much-needed investment and further weakens the economy. The consequences of this economic stagnation are dire. Unemployment, particularly among young people, is alarmingly high. The government's efforts to address these issues have been met with mixed success. The widening gap between rich and poor in South Africa has severe consequences for its people. Poverty remains widespread, with millions lacking access to basic services like healthcare, education, and sanitation. This perpetuates a cycle of poverty and limits opportunities for upward mobility. The lack of economic opportunities also fuels unemployment, particularly among the youth. With limited prospects for the future, many young people are left feeling hopeless and disillusioned. This creates a fertile ground for social unrest, as people grow increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress in addressing their economic plight. Service delivery protests, often marred by violence and destruction, have become commonplace in many parts of the country. Crime rates remain high, fueled by poverty and inequality. The government faces the daunting task of healing these divisions and creating a more just and equitable society for all. The flight of capital from South Africa is a worrying trend that exacerbates the country's economic woes. Wealthy individuals and corporations, instead of investing their capital domestically, are increasingly seeking safer havens abroad. This trend, known as capital flight, deprives the South African economy of much-needed investment and undermines its long-term growth potential. Several factors contribute to this exodus of wealth. Policy uncertainty, corruption scandals, and concerns about property rights make some investors wary of putting their money in South Africa. Additionally, the allure of higher returns and lower perceived risks in developed economies entices some investors to look beyond South Africa's borders. The consequences of capital flight are significant. It reduces the pool of funds available for domestic investment, hindering job creation and economic growth. Addressing capital flight requires tackling the root causes, such as improving governance, enhancing policy certainty, and creating a more attractive investment climate. The economic challenges facing South Africa have profound socio-political implications. The widening gap between the haves and have-nots threatens to unravel the social fabric of the nation. The frustration and anger stemming from economic hardship can manifest in various ways, including protests, strikes, and even violence. Moreover, the lack of economic opportunity, particularly for young people, poses a significant threat to South Africa's long-term stability. High youth unemployment rates can lead to social unrest, crime, and a loss of hope in the future. This can also fuel brain drain, as skilled and educated individuals seek opportunities elsewhere, further depriving the country of much-needed human capital. The government faces the daunting task of addressing these complex and interconnected challenges. It is crucial to prioritize inclusive economic growth that benefits all citizens, not just a select few. The path forward is fraught with challenges, but the stakes are high and the need for action is urgent. Addressing South Africa's economic crisis requires a multifaceted approach that tackles the root causes of inequality and slow growth. It demands a commitment to inclusive growth, where the benefits of economic progress are shared more equitably among all citizens. This means investing in education, skills development, and healthcare to empower individuals and create a more productive workforce. Furthermore, tackling corruption and strengthening governance are crucial to restoring investor confidence and attracting both domestic and foreign investment. Creating a stable and predictable policy environment is essential to encourage businesses to invest and create jobs. By tackling these challenges head-on, South Africa can create a more just and prosperous future for all its citizens, unlocking the country's vast potential and fulfilling the promise of a truly democratic and inclusive society.